Which job is a lot less fun than most people expect? Part 4. Accountant. Everyone thinks it's all fun and number crunching. But the constant stream of women throwing their panties and wanting to bear your children is honestly exhausting. Event planner. It's hell on earth when you have a million things going on and you're waiting for everything to come together. Wow, I expected everyone to say this, but I haven't seen it yet. %100 bartender. We've all had fun in bars, but never the bartender. Imagine throwing a house party where you're responsible for everyone and you can't drink yourself. Edit. Yes. Yes. I know a lot of places are fine with you drinking, but I always found it made the job harder rather than easier. Being a boss or manager of any kind. You think it's gonna be all gravy cause you're on top, but there are two ways it can go. 1. You're overworked and still not getting paid enough for this sh*t. 2. No one is paying attention to your work because you are the boss. So you don't actually have to do anything. Or even have anything to do, so you are just chronically bored out of your skull trying to find something to do that looks like boss work. Airport baggage handler. Yet it's fun being able to see parts of an airport people wouldn't normally get to see, and drive around the airfield in spare time to have a look at some planes, especially fancy private jets, but my god is it hard. Long hours. No social life because when you have days off you spend them catching lost sleep. Absolutely horrendous pay for hazardous work. In our training video they showed us the aftermath of someone who had been hit by an ATR 500 propeller and literally just smiled and said, "Don't do this." Also, what some people don't realize is that those bags don't magically appear on the plane. Some are loaded individually by hand, this is called loose load, and not into bins, which is a lot easier. You could be stacking over 200 bags in a space so cramped you can't even be on your knees if you are tall. Some of the bags/cargo can weight over 30 kilograms, so it is physically back-breaking work, and on some days you may not even get a break on a 12-hour shift, and yes, that happens a lot. But the absolute worst part is the bodies. When someone is being sent home to be buried, we are the ones who put that coffin into the hold and tie your loved one down, and it's not easy for us. My most recent coffin was that of a 2-year-old baby, and my god, I was in tears tying that coffin down in the hold. So next time you're packing for that vacation, remember we are down there. Edit. Wow, this exploded overnight. Thank you for the awards, kind strangers. Also, yes, I'm aware a lot of people don't see this job as fun, but for people with an interest in aviation, any job at an airport is fun. Honest, most real answer, any job/every job. Until you've done it. You only have an idealized version of it in your head. Nurse. Just kidding, no one thinks that sounds fun. Musician. All that so-called talent comes from years of training, practice, and study. Only to have people tell you that you don't have a real job. Programmer. People see it as an anonymous figure typing a few lines of code and gaining access to top-secret files. In reality, it's 10% coding and 90% searching your problems on Stack Overflow. Just a quick PSA for those reading this thread looking for career advice, the answers here are inevitably going to be biased towards those who have had bad experiences at a particular job, and are not necessarily representative of that industry as a whole. I know this because I have seen several people say programming, followed by a list of their problems on the job. And I don't doubt that those people are telling the truth. There are a lot of shitty programming jobs, but there are good ones too. I'm a programmer, been doing it professionally for about 20 years, and I love my job. In fact, the last 3 jobs I've had have been fantastic. Great pay, comfortable working conditions with reasonable hours, good co-workers, including managers, and interesting, challenging work. Sure, the work can be frustrating, that's unavoidable when you're solving difficult technical problems. But that's what they pay me for. Besides, the more frustrating the problem, the more satisfying it is when you solve it. I have no complaints. I have had shitty jobs for sure. But those are just individual jobs. If you find yourself in that situation, and you feel that this, whatever this is something you really love and really want to do, you shouldn't necessarily give up. If you can be patient and look for opportunities, you might be able to find a better one. I'm not saying this to invalidate what anyone here is saying, just to put it all in the proper context. Working in a music store, Musical instruments. Your days are spent listening to 50 different people play 50 different riffs poorly simultaneously. As if they're all putting on their own concert. Google Street View driver. You're all alone for 8+ hours a day. Can almost never take a break. Need to constantly be on and focused, lest you crash the $25 Subaru with $60.000 plus worth of camera equipment on it. You end up becoming an amateur meteorologist to keep track of weather patterns and cloud cover. And in my experience there are a lot of people who just get insanely upset at you. At Google. And the job in general for a wide variety of reasons. I enjoyed myself when I did it. But it was nowhere near as glamorous or fun as I or my friends and family assumed. Edit, thanks to everyone who expressed an interest in my summer job from almost 10 years ago. I'll just answer the most asked questions here real quick. Pay. $15 an hour. But contingent on hours driven. Which were themselves dependent on clear weather to ensure optimal image quality. Why not drive every day no matter the weather? Google got around this problem by making you redrive routes whose pictures turned out subpar. To prevent people double billing by driving the same easy route constantly. You also had a weekly quota of unique miles driven. So no double dipping. What could you do in the car? As long as the camera and the mapping software, mapping software, thanks for the heads up, was running properly, I was on my own. I listened to music, the news, and lots of books on tape. I could stop for short bathroom breaks whenever I felt like it. And had an hour guaranteed for lunch whenever I wanted to take it. Which usually amounted to eating in the car on the side of some lonely rural road 90% of the time. Who would ever think this was fun or glamorous? All I can say is, back in 2012 most people I talked to were pretty excited, myself included, about getting the chance to do any work with Google. Let alone this cool new project that would let you see what any place on Earth looked like at street level from the comfort of home. This was the era of Google Plus being a potentially exciting new thing. Of Google Glass being the future of tech. And overall it was a different time. That's why everyone I knew thought this was a cool gig. Librarian. It's not all books and being quiet. There are also spreadsheets. Flight attendant. 1. You are on call, on reserve, forever. Have a terrible schedule. Have no life. And make no money for 5 to 10 years. 2. While you work for peanuts. You can't afford to use your flight benefits in any substantial way. 3. Then. When you finally get a chance to use your benefits for a trip, you have to fly standby, which means you aren't guaranteed to get on the flight you want. 4. Then. If you do make it out of town, you better have like a week off so you can make damn sure you're back in your base city in time for your next work shift. 5. Did I mention there is an act of US legislation, Railway Labor Act, that allows airlines to exploit so you don't get paid for certain work hours that you actually need to be working? For example, FAs don't get paid for boarding. Or any time the plane is at the gate. Worst job ever. Edit, typos and clarity. Paleontologist. You don't get to work with full dinosaur skeletons and do all kinds of awesome expeditions. You're mostly sitting at a desk looking at some pictures and logging stuff on your computer. Maybe examining a fossil occasionally. If you're lucky you can go on a real dig. And OMG spend hours in the hot sun dusting off rocks. Being a writer. I always thought it was my absolute dream job. But the only job I could get after college was working in a content mill as a blog writer. I used to work 70-hour weeks staring at the computer in a basement of an old bank writing bullshit articles about the dangers of mold, fence cleaning, and why you need a commercial awning, and the dream turned into a nightmare. While I still write occasionally, I am now working as a communications person, so it is a bit less heavy. Professional photographer. Not like hobbyist, but business-owning photographer. Sucks the love right out of your work. Because you started the business to take pictures. Then Karen doesn't like the way she looks in one of them, so she wants the whole set for free plus a reshoot for free plus those images for free. Then the two high school kids getting into a very ill-advised marriage at exactly 18 years old wants to book you for their wedding, but their budget is only $50. Then Karen calls back because she loves your work and wants to pay for another shoot. But only if you agree to do her friend's daughter's destination wedding for free. Then you get a call from your last bride. It's been 2 weeks since their wedding. Where the fuck are her pictures? Then you get no leads from a bridal expo. Then a client finds out you don't support their candidate and tries to take you to court to get her money back. Then some Insta thought who thinks she's influencing people offers a collab where you take pro photos of her and she adds shitty Insta filters to it and claims her friend took them. And she's not gonna pay. And then you get some entitled mom who wants you to photograph every day of her newborn's first year of life for $100. I went back to being a hobbyist. For me, it was working in horse breeding. I recently got laid off and took a job in horse breeding. It's awful. It's disgusting. It smells. Hands covered in stallion smegma by the end of the day. Ugh. Theme park security guard / ride assistant, yes, they're the same job. People constantly come at you with the stupidest questions and entitled attitude. All the while your bosses force you to work extra hours every day because they don't have the nerve to tell people to go once it's closing time. I honestly think being a streamer and a YouTuber is a lot less fun than it seems to be. But a lot of people know that by now. Still though it doesn't seem unfun. I have seen this question before and then it was Zookeeper at the top comment too. Nice. Anyways. There's this making of Frozen Too Many docu. Most animators work weeks for a minute of animation of one character. If not less. At one point they decided to leave out a piece that one person had solely been working on. Must be crappy to be part of the credits without being able to say this is my part. After reading through this thread for 20 minutes I've concluded that every job sucks. Thanks for watching.